Off air. There you go.
It's Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. It's time for WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker. I'm Greg Watkins from WorthPoint.com, and it's time to talk with our expert on all things antiques and collectibles, Harry Rinker. How you doing, Harry?
Greg, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good.
All right. Do you believe in time travel?
Yes.
Good. Because this past weekend, I took a trip back in time.
Okay. How did that happen?
Well, I was asked by my good friend Barb Jersey. We talk about her from time to time. She runs Wonder Woman estate sales over in Lansing.
Right.
He was cleaning out this house up in northern Michigan. And she said, Harry, I need you to come up and look at this stuff. This was a woman who's, as a daughter and her mother, sold antiques and collectibles in the 1970s and 80s, maybe even earlier in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, all right?
Yeah.
And she had this lake home, and it was two floors, one big floor upstairs and a huge basement, 2,700 square feet.
Okay. That's a big space.
First of all, when we went into the house, I went to look at the reference libraries they have from the antiques and collectibles era that they worked in, right?
Yes.
And I'm pleased to say, because it shows what good taste these people had, that they had my 15th through my 30th edition of Warman's, Antiques and Their Prices, and Warman's eventually Antiques and Collectibles and Their Prices, and no copies of Covell's.
Well, they must know what's going on.
Except that this is a good deal, right?
Right.
So I went down to the basement, and it was floor to ceiling shelves filled with stuff that they bought to sell in their antique shop. But I felt like I was back in 1985. Because what had happened is they were active dealers in the late 70s and 80s. And they bought stuff. And it was like looking at all the categories in my 1985 price guide, which are very different than a price guide of 2017, as they were very different from the price guide I wrote in 2002 as well, right?
Right. Yes.
So what happened was that all of a sudden I'm handling stuff that I haven't handled in 10 years, maybe 15 years, right?
Okay.
And it was like really looking at the past. Now you ask, why was it all there? Well, what happened was they bought it at the peak of the crazes, okay, and then it started to decline in value. And they were part of the old school. We've talked about this here on WorthPoint Chat several times. The old school that everything would recycle. So
right, they were waiting for the prices to go back up.
Right, so they would take it down in the basement and put it on the shelves, waiting for it to recycle, the industry. And then they died. And it never recycled. Now, Barb is an estate sale person. Now, in an estate sale, you're looking at 67% of market. But what you're also looking at is, I don't want to take anything to the estate sale that won't sell. So this was the second hit on this stuff because Barbara already had one estate sale. And one of the things she had taken was about 50 pieces of pattern glass in the rosette pattern, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to look up rosette pattern glass on the Worthopedia here, because this is, again, reality versus reality. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let me give it a little.
ROSETTE, rosette pattern glass.
My computer is slow all of a sudden.
Now all computers are slow these days. But anyway, while we're talking about this, so Barbara took down a pile of pattern glass down for the first estate sale she did about 3-4 weeks ago. And she put it out. She had 2 shelves of it in her shop, right? And I came over right before the sale started, and I said, Barbara, look, here's a creamer and a covered sugar and a butter dish and a syrup. Put them together and sell them as a group, all right? And you can price the other stuff individually, which they did, all right? No, in the first hour of the sale, that stuff sold. I mean, in the first hour of the sale, that sold, okay? That grouping that I did for it sold because it was a grouping and it looked nice on the table. Not one piece of rosette pattern glass sold the rest of the sale. Now, you know, it started out at 100% of value for 2 days, and then 35% off, and then 50% off. And at 50% off, she couldn't give it away. And we're now talking down to, no, that doesn't look like rosette pattern glass to me.
Well,
ROSETTE.
right.
Rosette pattern
Glass.
That's what you.
Well, that's what's coming up under the best match.
All right. Well,
I think
that's all right.
But Rosette's.
Now, rosette was one of those really great patterns. Oh, there now. Slow down. There on the left. That's rosette.
Okay.
See? All right. Now, this is again where Harry knows more than you do. No, which is often the case, I might add. So here you have.
We know that.
Here you have a scarce rosette pattern glass covered butter dish, 1880s, $118, right?
Right. 3
In
years ago.
In 1914. But that's
2014.
2014, right? But here's the deal. She couldn't get $10 for one. She couldn't get half of $10 for one. Nobody cared. And not just that, but it's interesting. I don't know if you can count the little rosettes on that silly thing or not, but there should be 13 of them. But it was reproduced later with 11 and 10. But the point is that Barber couldn't sell any of that stuff for $1 a piece. All right?
Wow.
And what's interesting here is that here is an unusual form that they got some money for. But in an open sale, unless Barbara's ready to list all these pieces on the internet for this client, she's not going to even have a shot at any of this. And the only thing that are selling are the oddball pieces. You know, there's no goblets, there's no clarets, there's none of the ordinary stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what happens in an estate sale is that when it's all over, a liquidator comes in and simply buys whatever's left in the shop for a couple $100, hauls it away. And so all that rosette, you know, sailed off into the sunset for next to nothing, maybe a quarter to 50 cents a piece. All right.
Wow. Yeah.
So now here I am back in 1985 in this basement. So what Barber wanted me to do was not only tell her what was there, or work with her and help her identify what was there, but Barbara also had to make decisions about whether it was even worth taking and trying to sell it. To ask if there was even a market for it, someone that would pay 50 cents or $1 for it. Now, we came to a shelf full, and we're talking wooden shelves that were maybe 12 feet in length and multiple layers up, okay?
Okay.
And we find a shelf of Phoenix bird china. Now, do you know what Phoenix bird china is? You can say no.
I do not know what it is.
No, that's right. And nor does most other people. But at one time, Phoenixburg China had a Phoenixburg China collectors club. There were price guides to Phoenixburg China. This was in the 80s and early 90s. It's now 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't sell it. And so Barbara said, should we take it, Harry? And I said, can you get anything for it? I mean, even if you put the whole pile out, yeah, that's Phoenixburg China. See the pattern there, the Phoenixburg?
Yes.
And there's all kinds of variations. This is like when Elise Litz did that book on Geisha Girl China. At the sophisticated market, there were books that identified each specific Phoenixburg type and who made it and all kinds of things. People cared. And today, nobody cares. And guess what? She left it behind. She just left it behind because she said, I can't sell it.
Wow.
Can't find anybody that wants it. Now, the liquidator's going to come up. They're going to take 2 estate sales at least, maybe 3 out of the basement. And then when that's over, then the estate sale liquidator is going to buy everything left in the house, which will be about 50 to 60% of the stuff, okay?
Yeah.
But there you see it, right? But look at the price. What are the prices on the plates there on the left?
15. The turkey platter was 75.
Yep. Okay. Now what years are these? These can't be recent.
2011, 2007.
Yep. Nobody cares. But
2011. Yeah.
Go to the most current.
Okay. So let me go to recent.
Right.
And let's let everybody see here.
Yep, that's right. Look, when we do this on the show, people need to understand there's reasons for this, right?
Right. So here's a salad
Uh,
bowl for 30, a covered jar, ginger jar for 22,
right. How much did the salt and pepper shaker set go for?
14.24.
All right. So here, somebody could have come into Barber Shop and bought all this pile for $50 and put it up, and that probably made money. But the problem is that what was the possibility that someone who cared enough to pick all this stuff up, take it on the internet, put it up piece by piece, and try to make money? You go nuts, you make nickels and dimes.
Well,
Right?
there are eBay sellers who do that, but
Yes, they are. Yes, there are. People who have
special
no
kind of
concern.
person.
So Barbara just didn't take it. She just left it behind. Let the liquidator take it. Now, here's where the tragedy comes. There were shelves and shelves of pattern glass, including a lot more rosette pattern stuff. And I said to Barbara, maybe I can find somebody to buy the whole thing. But here's the tragedy. As I'm going through this, I see cup plates. Okay, sandwich glass era cup plates, 1820s to 1860s. All right, good stuff. You hold them up and each one ping like they were lead glass, right?
Yeah.
Now, just out of curiosity, I pulled out my 1985 edition of Warman's. Okay.
Okay.
And cup plates were a category at that time. They wouldn't be a category today in Warman's, trust me. But they might be in Covell's, but we don't want to say anything about Covell's. But anyway, here under glass cup plates, prices $250, $100.50, $60, $175, $475, all coming out of this book right here, right?
Yes.
Warman's, what is it? I have the 19th edition up there, right?
Yep.
19th edition. All right. Now, I said to Barbara, man, these are early American cup plates, early American powder glass cup plates. Take them. I said, I don't want them. I said, what's the matter? She said, I can't get $1 a piece for them. Well, I went up on the net again and up to WorthPoint, and I found they're selling today for $5 to $8 for the more common ones, and maybe $10 to $15 for the harder to find ones, and maybe $25 to $35 for some of the rare ones. I mean, like the market has fallen down almost 90% in terms of value. Amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, it wasn't just.
But not surprising.
Oh, not surprising at all. Not surprising at all. And again, it goes back to this theory that these people had that, hey, it was all going to recycle, and it's not going to all recycle. Well, not only so I had fun things there, and then there was bread plates. You don't even remember American historical glass bread plates, right?
No.
See, I like it when you shake your head no, because you're just confirming what everybody else knows in the trade. Nobody cares. She had 2 dozen of them. Now, again, those were 40, 60, 80 bucks back in the 80s. Today, you're lucky to get $5 or $6 for it. All right? So, but I decided I get home, I wanted to research cup plates. And cup plates are interesting because they had numbers. Ruth Webb Lee, one of the great classic researchers in antiques and collectibles, did a book on cup plates that assigned numbers to the different designs, right?
Okay.
So knowing the Lee number was critical. That's all they did. So I get really excited. I said, okay, I'm going to find out what I can learn on the web. So I go up on the web and I type in value of cup plates, and up comes American-historicalglass.com, right? I open it up, and there's a guy. It's got 150 cup plates up there with their code identification numbers. And I figured, man, this will be great. We just, take the ones that Barb has and try to convince her to research them. And guess what? He hasn't maintained the site, so none of the lists open up, so you can see all the cup plates. The home page is there, but all the rest is dead. Can't access any of it.
Well, I guess he lost interest, or he died.
Maybe he died, which is probably more likely. All right. Well,
yeah.
But it was one moment after another. We found some china called Old Paris china. Now again, let's have some fun again. Type Old Paris china into Orthopedia here, because the Orthopedia is great because it has prices over a spread of years, almost 10, 15 years now, right?
Yeah, going well at least 10.
Yes, at least 10, back to 2007, right?
Yeah, sometimes 2006.
Yeah,
but that's
now,
about
here's once again when you don't know what to call something, you use a word that they don't have. But now, see those plates in the middle and the third plate in? That's Old Paris China. That's what we used to call Old Paris China. And the vases in the second row, the first and second ones, okay?
Okay, let me back up.
Are Old Paris China. Those right there, right?
Uh-huh.
Pick the one on, yeah, that's a good one. Pick that up. And they sold for
All right.
what? Holy
$15,000 in 2013 through an auction house. Let me see if I can figure out which auction house.
Okay, so guess what? They have all right, well, here's the deal, man. They have a whole shelf full of that stuff, and it's going to be priced at $10 and $15 a piece.
Wow.
Maybe you want to check out Wonder Woman estate sales sale in May, because maybe a chance for get some bargains. But the point of the matter is the common stuff is there's going to be a tough sell. I don't know if they have anything that nice, but they have a couple of nice vases in there. My gosh, what auction house? Now I've encountered that, by the way, in WorthPoint before, where it says auction house. How do you find out what auction house, or don't you?
Well, actually, it says
Because
eBay.
It could be eBay, because eBay's an auction house, right?
Right.
And that does it say eBay? Did they sell for that on eBay?
It says eBay now, yeah.
Woo!
But then the other pair of these sold for 170.
Yeah, right.
Same year. Not quite as nice.
That was a while ago. And again, and you say, well, okay, it was only 3 years ago, right? Oh my goodness, it has Campbell's soup can in it?
I think that's for
well, measurement purposes. I understand that, but
comparison.
it's a strange. It's 2 soup cans high. I can see the description. Pair of Old Paris vases, 2 soup cans high.
Well, everybody knows what a soup can is.
So anyway, here I am going through this stuff. All of it, Statue of Liberty collectibles, all Eiffel Tower collectibles, all the kind of stuff that the market went out from under, and these people, I mean, it was, I have to tell you, a fun experience. Oh, well, there's another person that's 2.5 bean cans high.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's different.
Which is different from soup can. I would bet that the bean can is a little bit taller.
Is a Heinz bean can the same size as a soup can? We don't know the answer to that.
Well, I do not know for sure, but I think the beans are taller than the soup.
Could be. In any case, and the long and the short of this is that for 4.5 hours, I lived back in 1985 again. And it was fun, because part of the joy in antiques and collectibles, and any antiques and collectibles, is handling the stuff and playing with it. And I can't tell you, I can't remember the last time I had 50 sandwich or cup plates to play with, or 25 bread plates to play with, or several hundred pieces of Phoenix bird to play with, or and hundreds of pieces of pattern glass to play with it, and other stuff that of that ilk and era. And it was fun for me. It was really fun for me. But it's indicative of the problems of the people who are in their 80s and 90s and dying off, who collected back then and collected this stuff, only to have to tell their ancestors or their heirs or their grandchildren, executors, that it has no market value. It's really, I mean, it really is sad. I mean, what's going to happen to that Phoenix bird stuff is this guy who's a liquidator has a dollar store. Yeah. He's going to put this stuff out in the store for $1. Now, if you're a good eBay seller, get over to his store. Buy it for $1 a piece and put them on eBay. I mean,
yeah, if you're up in Lansing, Michigan.
Yep, you bet. I mean, it's something else again. Well, anyway, I know this got to be an extended time, but I'm really, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to write a column about that time travel thing, because every once in a while in my work, especially when I was taping Collector Inspector, I would go into a house that was built in X year, furnished in X year, and never changed. And probably one of the most fun houses I ever went to was I went to a 1950s modernist house in LA that was filled with 1950s modernist turquoise, copper and chrome and furniture. And I mean, it was, I mean, seriously, the furnishings that were there when the house was built were still there.
That must have been fun.
I mean, it was like
mid-century modern stuff.
it was like, if I lived there, I would never have. I mean, I don't grow up now. I mean, come on, let's be honest about this. But if I lived there, I would never have to grow up. I mean, never, 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 ever have to grow up. And it is fun. It is fun to go back and see this stuff because it's also a test of my will. It's what makes guys like myself. Why was I so lucky in the trade? Well, because when I came in and I took over Worman's Antiques, their prices in 81, it had 150 categories in it. Right?
Right.
When I launched Worman's Americana and collectibles in the late 80s, we added another 150 to 175 collecting categories. But we're dealing with 400 categories of less. Today, there's 35 to 50,000 collecting categories out there, the way everything's broken up. And I could learn it. I learned it all along. I started the business. It was possible to learn everything. And then as the business expanded, I grew up and learned with it, which is why I'm the last of the great generalists, because if I love to get on these shows where I'm the appraiser and there's another guy who's 30 that's an appraiser with me. And we should have stuff the appraiser segments, because I love to bring in some of the stuff from my collections and say, here, tell me what this is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have people that don't know what a shmoo is. Do you know what a shmoo is?
Well, are you talking about the cartoon character Shmoo?
Yes, that's right. Shmoo was a cartoon character from?
Oh, I think it was one of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
No, that's a Smurf. Little Abner.
No, not the Smurfs. I know what a Smurf is. A Shmoo.
No.
It was sort of a rubber-looking, grayish kind of thing.
A shmoo was like a white blob. Looked like a ham.
Yeah, but it had whiskers like a seal.
Well, kind of, but that was from Little Abner, from the cartoon
Really?
strip Little Abner.
Okay, I didn't know that's where it came from, because it was in a 70s, early 80s
I don't remember shmoo.
cartoon. Yeah. So they recycled that character. I'll have to research that.
Well, you and I both, because I know most of the Hanna-Barbera. I watched most of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons when they were fresh on TV. I don't remember that, but anyway. All right, so I've got some homework to do too, and that's why we have these conversations. But the other side of it is there were shmoo collectibles from Little Abner, salt and pepper shakers and stuff. But if you don't know what a shmoo is, what value do they have, right? None.
Exactly.
None. All right, so you're trying to do some fast work on the shmoo. I can tell you, you're ready to prove your Hanna-Barbera shmoo.
Yeah, I found the image.
The little, you found a Little Abner image. The shmoo is a wonderful person. There it is. That's Little Abner.
That's him, right?
That's Al Cap. Yeah.
Okay, so here's
wait a minute.
Shmoo.
There he is with the Flintstones. What is that?
Yes.
I'll be darned. I couldn't have been too far into this series. Was it just a one-time appearance?
No, he had his own show. Now here he is with Little Abner.
Yeah, that's right. Al Cap's the shmoo.
Okay, now here's the one that I remember. The new Shmoo.
The new shmoo. Well, I'll be darned. I don't remember the new shmoo. I'm going to have to do some research. But now I know. That's why we have these conversations. Once, there it was. Learn something new every day, and now I've learned about the new shmoo.
That's right. I couldn't tell you anything. I guess
30-year-old wouldn't know about either shmoo at this point.
that's true. That's true.
But speaking of old things, we got an interesting email this week. You like that transition? Or you were wondering?
I was wondering where you going with the old thing.
Right. You were wondering how we were going to get to the chair. Now let's explain what happens. This is a chair that came from one of our WorthPoint viewers. Pictures of a chair. We have a couple of them. My husband is a descendant of Kenelm Winslow, one of the 5 Winslow brothers who arrived in America in the Mayflower era. Now, not on the Mayflower, right?
Well, a couple of them did come over on the Mayflower, but this particular guy.
Oh, yes. Two of the brothers, Edward and Gilbert, did come over the Mayflower and signed the Mayflower Compact. Himlin Winslow, however, arrived later in 1631 on an unknown ship, according to the records at Plymouth Plantation. He was a joiner of some repute and was first known to be plying his trade in the Plymouth colonies. Last year, my husband inherited a chair that, according to family history, belonged to Kenelm and traveled with him by ship from England to New England. My husband's family has, according to legend, handed down the chair along with an old key supposedly from his home Since Kettlin's time, the chair does not have any maker's mark, and there are no sailing manifests for Kettling. However, Plymouth Colony probate records show that his estate inventory in 1672 recorded 5 chairs, all left to his wife Evelyn, and subsequently distributed one to each of the 5 children in their death. Right?
Right.
So, what's one of my favorite phrases in trying to authenticate furniture? Let's do the math.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
So the math is, if this chair theoretically, and no one says he brought it over from England, if this chair supposedly dated from 1672, it would be 300, that's 1972 plus
45 plus
345 years old, right?
Right.
Right. Or thereabouts.
Thereabouts.
Now, the first question that would be obviously asked in my mind, does it look like a 345-year-old chair to you?
Well, it's in great condition if it's 345 years old.
Yes, I should look that good when I'm 76. But that's my first problem with it, right?
Uh-huh.
Now it's got a pin construction on it, and it's not impossible for the chair to be refinished over time, right?
Right.
And there you but here's what happens. This is a chair made of solid wood, and wood warps with time and goes out around with time. All right.
Okay.
And there you can see the back part right now. It's a well-made chair because notice on the top of the crest and in the cuttings in the crest, the carver carved it back as you would expect in a chair from an earlier era.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's carved back. All right. But the other comment in my field is if it looks new, assume it is new. Notice there's no breaks in the joints. The pins look almost too good to be true. All right. And if you move on down and look at the base, there's some more of the pins, right?
Yeah.
But that wood there's no nicks, no scratch, no pings, no cover up, no whatever. And look at the base there, right? Look at the turnings. They're almost completely round. Okay? So what do you think happened? Is it an old chair that's been refinished so much to look like new? Nope. I can tell you what happened, although the person that wrote in isn't going to like the story. But my best guess is?
What's that?
At sometime in the beginning to the mid-19th century, families sold the good one. Maybe at auction or maybe whatever, to an important collector who said, look, I want to buy your chair, but I don't. But the person who sold it says, well, this is a family piece, and I don't want it to go outside of the family. So I'll tell you what, I'll sell it to you if you have a reproduction made just like it, so I can keep it here and keep the story alive. My guess is that chair was made, the one we're looking at, in the late 19th, early 20th century. Now, that's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go on. Let's go on to the questions that she asked, right?
Right.
Now, she says, my husband doesn't have any children, siblings, or cousins. He's the last of the family line, so we're thinking about putting this chair up for auction, okay? All right, now, firstly, do the features of this chair seem to support either the family legend that it sailed with him in 1631, or it's one of the 5 chairs given to his children, or if he was a joiner, why couldn't he have made it in the States? And this is, now, a joiner, the term joiner is for a cabinet maker who joins things together.
Yeah.
Okay, but this doesn't have joining. It has turnings in it. And a turner and a joiner were 2 separate people in the cabinet making industry at the time. Okay, or in the industry at the time. So this would be more of a chair from a turner's shop than it would be a chair from a joiner's shop, all right? So the chair doesn't match the history of the thing, right?
Okay.
She said, third, is there any background research we could do to improve the province and fetch a better price? Okay, yes, there is. You need to go to Wallace Nutting's furniture books. You remember Nutting? You have in the library down there, the Nutting furniture books, and see if you could find prototypes for the same size as this chair. All right. Now, what's the process for selling it? Well, the process is to get it authenticated. All right. And the only place that can really authenticate this is a major museum that deals in this type of thing. And the place to go is Winterthur.
In Pennsylvania.
Henry Francis Winterthur Museum.
Yeah.
This should be taken down there, and they have authentication days and other days when you can bring in stuff and people can look at it. And this needs to be looked at by the Winterthur experts. Okay. Now, if I saw it personally, I probably could get pretty close to what I think it is too. But I'm looking at pictures and I'm giving my best opinion. All right. But it needs to be authenticated. It's authenticated by an expert. The second thing is, if it's right, here's another test. You can send the pictures to two auction houses, Sotheby's in New York and Skinner's in Boston. Okay?
Okay.
And say, this is the family story, and if this chair is auctioned, I want it auctioned as a 1630s chair. Or mid 1650s, mid 17th century chair, right?
Yeah, right.
I want it to be sold like that. Is this something you're interested in? All right. My guess is the curators at the auction company will read the story, take one look at the pictures, and say no. But I could be wrong, as I am on occasion. You know, this is all my best guess looking at photographs. All right. Edith, I know you love the weekly talks with Greg, and I know what you want to do, but here's my concern. I'm really not sure what you're dealing with. And so here's my recommendation. This needs to be authenticated by an expert. And the experts for this type of authentication, maybe you could try the Boston Museum of, you're in, I don't know where this person's located.
He's in the Bay Area, in California.
In California?
Yes.
Forget that. I mean, I wouldn't trust anyone in California to authenticate it. They don't handle this kind of stuff.
Right. And I think she knows that to get it authenticated, you have to go to New England.
Well,
She
was in Boston. I would say you could try the Boston Museum because the Carolite collection is a big early American furniture collection, and people there could probably look at it and help her. All right. Or Winterthur, which is the one I would trust more than I would trust anybody else. Winslow, which is a museum of early Southern decorative arts in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, is also a possibility, but they're more interested in the Southern arts than this early stuff. But they have very good authentication services there. But it needs to be authenticated. I wouldn't pay a dealer to authenticate it because, first of all, dealers have their own self-interest at heart. Now, again, you can send the pictures to Sotheby's and Christie's with the story because it's not going to sell for dip on the West Coast. It has to go into the Eastern markets. You could send a picture to Sotheby's and Skinner's in Boston and Sotheby's in New York, which have Sotheby's has a $6,000 limit and Skinner has a $3,000-$4,000 limit or $2,000 or $3,000 limit. But if this chair dates from the mid 17th century, and it would be periodly correct, it would be correct period wise, those limits would be low end, not high end. Okay. But again, I am going to just say up front, I'm concerned about the authenticity of the chair. It's not that the chair is not old. It's not that the chair could be unused. But, oh, by the way, that's right. You want me to shut up. I can tell.
Well, no, I'm just kidding.
No. I know when you put the screen up, you're anxious to get this show over with.
Go ahead and finish your point.
No. Here it is. Well, the point we'd like to make is this. Okay, we got this object in. How about some more objects, gang? If you have an item you'd like to submit for us to run through the ringer or whatever term you want to use for it, please send your photograph, so the objects and everything you know about the item, to community Community at WorthPoint.com. Community at WorthPoint.com. There it is. And I want to thank Edith. Edith, the pictures were very helpful. The only thing that's different, and I don't know why we have so much trouble, but it would be great if we had dimensions for things, because that could also have provided important clues about how old the chair really was by its height and width, because these cabinet makers all learned how to make the same thing the same way, and if it doesn't meet standard measurements of chairs back in that era, you got to be a little nervous, okay?
Yeah.
But anyway, Edith, we do appreciate the long, detailed history. We do appreciate all the photographs you sent. And this is a mystery that's still ongoing. Don't take what I said tonight as gospel. Take what I said tonight as a concern that we have to take it to the next step. And that's all part of doing research work in the antiques and collectibles field. But you can't sell something till you know what it is. And authentication is the key. So put the darn thing, pay for a plane ticket, put it in a seat aside of you, fly east with it, or do whatever.
Yeah, well, you served as the first step, so that was good.
I don't know who on the West Coast I could possibly even begin to think to recommend that would authenticate.
Bonhams, I don't think they deal with that kind of stuff, do they?
Oh, they would, but
they're not good at it.
I don't know. Maybe the Getty might, because the Getty Getty's a great general museum, but they may have someone on staff that can authenticate it.
Yeah. Something to check out.
Maybe. Remember, if you take it there to have someone look at it in a museum, though, you've got to make it clear you don't care about the value. All you want to know is it what it's purported to be? Because that curators can do, but curators cannot assign value to things.
That's when you go to the auction house.
Well,
once it's identified,
or you go to a skilled appraiser, because then you can look this stuff up.
Yes.
Notice we didn't run this thing in WorthPoint.
Well,
did you? Did you? Perchance, sir, did you run this in WorthPoint?
I did. Hang on a sec.
No.
Yeah.
Well, none of those look like this chair.
They don't look like this chair.
Yes, but the chairs that are there on the left, right? Well, not that right. The chairs on the left, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So
those are called pilgrim furniture.
Yes.
And that's what I would have expected the chair to look like. It's best go down actually to the second row, the one on the left. All right. That high seat back type pilgrim chair. And there it's blown up so you can see it. That's what I would have expected. And that's a turner's chair. See how all the pieces are turned and only the splats are flat?
Right.
But that only brought 2,820, and I can see where that's a possibility. And that was sold at Garth's, which is a good house, by the way.
Right.
But I mean, can you imagine? Suppose a 300-year-old plus chair and it only brings less than $3,000. Sad.
That was the surprising thing when I was looking at the prices.
Yes.
There were the two up at the top that were $8,000 and $750. Then you have this $2,800, and then they drop down to $700.
Yeah, because people think that way. Well, go to the one on the left there. Expand that one. Does that look at all like the one that we have here? No,
well,
see, you don't see the carved crest. The backs is there. The turnings are similar, but notice you don't have that carved crest.
Right. I have not found the carved crest.
No. How much did that one sell for, though, that we were just looking at?
$620. Now, this one's got the flat slats that are rounded on the back. So that was similar. And then the legs also look similar with the turn.
Now, this is 2007, okay? But that was before the recession, so remember that. So what is the lesson of all this, even if it's right?
There's a wide
no, even if it's period, nobody cares.
Well, there's that too.
Yes, because you can't, even though it came down through that family, you can't say he made it.
Correct. Unless you can find another version with that same carving that.
But my feeling is that the period chair that this family may have owned has long gone. Well, anyway, enough of. That's why I like these shows. I'm always so cheerful and enthusiastic.
Well, you had your time travel.
I'm going to tell you something about that. This is one of the problems. You know, my mother, God bless her, was one of these women that says, if you can't say something nice about something, keep your mouth shut.
Well, you didn't learn that lesson at all.
No, that's right. That's why I tell people the inside of my mother's coffin is rounded, because she turns over in her grave almost every day because of something I do. But here's what I found out in this trade. Dealers cover dealers' rear ends, and they lie. And if a dealer tells a lie, other dealers will confirm the lie because that's part of the so-called thing. Harry is a teller of truth. I am not going to lie about anything. I may not be right, but I'm not going to lie. You want to know what my opinion is? Ask. And you will get it. Whether it pleases you or not. Okay, and that's why I tell them I do appraisal clinics, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I always say to people. You know, I'm going to tell you what I think it's not, what it's worth. Whether you like it or not, whether you're happy with the end results or whatever, too bad. Tell you what I think. But hey, but you know, we talk about life as an adventure and the thrill of the hunt. All the rest is straight. This is a chair that I don't want to just have her. Well, I don't want to put out in the yard sale for $10, but there's an adventure to this chair yet, and that's the adventure of authenticating, taking it to other people and getting different opinions, and so forth. Now, I'll tell you what's going to happen when she gets the opinion that the chair is right. Period. She's going to quit. Say, what does that Rinker guy know? But all right, that's all right. But that person who says that is going to have handled the chair, not me.
That's right. That's right. Somebody has to pick it up and take it outside and look at every little corner of it.
Yep. Hey, by the way, I'm working on a new feature for the WorthPoint newsletter.
You are?
Yes. I'm going to tell you why.
Because somebody twisted your arm.
No. Amy kept writing to me and says, I want you to write an article about my favorite antique. And I kept telling her, I don't have a favorite antique.
Yeah.
My favorite antique, I told her, is the next thing I buy. And that led to this idea. We're going to write a column called My Latest Find. And we're going to ask people to write in about something they bought recently and why it excited them and all the rest of that type of stuff. Amy sends me an email and says, gosh, Harry, I can use one every week.
Of course.
And then Will writes a note back and says, I can write some too. So, enough of all of that. So, no, I can use one a month. She says, I can use one a month. And Will writes back, well, I can write that kind of stuff too. So, okay. Fine. But I've been buying some things.
Yeah, you've fallen off the wagon.
Yes, I have. Yes, it is worse than alcoholism once you start buying antiques and collectibles, because I am not buying cheap stuff anymore. So my retirement looks thinner and thinner.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway, we really exhausted this. It's just been a fun night, and that's one of the fun things, by the way, about these chats. Just for everybody, they end when we're ready to end them. Or when Greg falls asleep, or I fall off my chair, or something.
We could go on for hours.
But here we go. We are at an end.
All right.
But we will be back next week.
That's right. So are you going to be, where are you going to be next week?
Here. Here, I'm going to be here next week. The following week, I'm leaving at midnight that morning and driving to Florida, and I may get to Florida in time and I may not. We may postpone that one to Thursday night. But
okay. Well,
I'm going to drive straight through to Florida. My wife is coming with me, and this is the final test about whether we still wish to be married to each other.
Well, good luck.
Yes, right. Anyway, enough said of all this. You have a great night.
Enough said.
Have a good week.
I will. You too. And until next week, Harry, we'll say good night.
Good night.
Good night.